I suppose doing stand-up gigs did make me start to think a bit. If you want to hear an astonishing amount of swearing, then your best bet is either a building site or the back room of a pub on open mic night. Although, given what we're talking about now, here is as good a place as any to hear some language. Now, I want to be clear that I don't disapprove of swearing. I think it can, when used well, be a wonderful thing. In fact, I particularly dislike the term bad language. How can a word be bad? Obviously, words have meaning, and those meanings can potentially people off. Bigoted language, like racial slurs and so on, is offensive, and you can really only use it either in a discussion situation, if you're talking about the language the Nazis used in their propaganda or whatever, or if you're bored and trolling some anonymous on the internet. But those words have a good reason to be offensive. They have years of violence, abuse, and oppression behind them. If my grandparents had been oppressed by some and his grandkids started using the same insults to me, you can bet I'd be off. But that's not the same as, or there's no civil rights movement for those words don't have any historical weight as such. They're only rude because we decided that they are. Now, this struck me as odd. What kind of a would create words that we're not allowed to say? What's the point of that? At this stage, it would make sense to look at the origins of some of the words themselves. The problem here, you overeager, is that swear words are a little tricky to trace. For example, has an uncertain etymology. Because it's an inherently common speech term, it doesn't show up too much in literature, so definite examples are thin on the ground. There's a bunch of old Germanic words, the German ficken or Dutch focken, which sound similar and have roughly equivalent meanings involving sex and violence, and that's probably where it comes from. On the other hand, probably comes from the Old English and dung and diarrhea, respectively. It's also important to pause and examine why words sound the way they do. For example, can sound either threatening or pornographic. I'm going to you up sounds much worse than I'm going to hit you. Just as baby, I want to sounds much sexier than brace yourself, Hilda. Okay, neither of those is likely to work as a chat-up line, but you know what I mean. Anyway, do we assign offensive meanings to offensive-sounding words, or do we invent rude-sounding words as a shorthand for unpleasant things? No one likes and isn't a very beautiful word. By the same token, the bilabial voice plosive, the posh term for B's and P's, at the start of or makes them very satisfying words to say. Whoops, just isn't as much fun to pronounce as... Another thing to consider is time. Your granny's knickers might well explode if she overheard you and your mates at the pub, but her parents probably didn't much like her choice of words as a girl. When I was a kid, the only films with the word were 18s. Now it's pretty common in 12s and 15s. Go back a few decades and the word damn was made illegal in American movies in 1930, hence the controversy caused by the line, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn from Gone with the Wind. I think ultimately it's a kind of a chicken and egg thing. The origins of a word only explain its meaning and spelling. They don't explain why some people find the things offensive, and trying to retrospectively psychoanalyze humanity is an exercise in futility, as you're about to see. My own theory is that we need swearing. As far back as human writing goes, someone's always been drawing penises in the margin, as it were. We're a violent, carnal animal, and evolution made us that way. We have explosive emotions and feelings, and we need words that match up. Scientists have even discovered that swearing reduces pain perception, so the next time you hit your thumb with a hammer, you have my permission to embarrass your granny to your heart's content. You might have noticed that it's been a while since I last swore. This brings me to my final point. The same experiment that noted the pain-reducing properties of swearing also noted that the more often you swear, the less effective it becomes. Swearing works precisely because it offends people. We need to have socially unacceptable words so that when you're really, really angry, you can express it. As your Friday afternoon meeting moves into its third long, pointless hour and the coffee machine runs out, bum just doesn't capture the depths of your dissatisfaction with management. So, in conclusion, swearing is cool, as long as you don't use it all the time.